Welcome to the Business Growth Spotlight, where we shine the light and talk with business owners and leaders from all over the world to share their insights and expertise so we can all grow together. I'm your host, Heidi, and I'm the co-founder of the Spotlight to Scale Accelerator. We help businesses grow and get more visibility by making sure that they're seen as the authority and go-to expert in their industry versus just another product or service. And today, I am being joined by Dan Tudor with Tudor Collegiate Strategies. Welcome, Dan, to the podcast, and thank you for being here.
Thank you so much, Heidi. It's looking forward to it. It'll be a fun conversation.
Absolutely. So to get started, Dan, can you share some insights on your business and the role you play within it?
So I am the president and founder of Tudor Collegiate Strategies, as you said in the intro. What we do is unique. In fact, we're the only ones who do it in the country, which is work with, advise, train, and provide services to college coaches, college athletic departments, college admissions departments on recruiting and selling their school to their next round of prospects. And the reason that that is a needed thing is because you have a lot of people who either have never left a college campus or who were great athletes, then became a coach and never learned how to communicate, how to market, how to sell, even the concept of leading somebody into making a decision. There's a lot of deficits there. So we fill that void and work with a lot of different colleges and campuses and individuals on those campuses to teach them how to do it, and then help them actually perform and go through their class-by-class needs on a service basis as clients. So we'll come alongside them that way as well.
So you work with all the different touch points in the colleges.
Correct. So for instance, for coaches, we don't tell them where to go get the athletes or who they should be recruiting. Certainly the same case applies for admissions departments. But once they're on a list, then we're assuming, okay, they want them. And then our job is to help them get them. And we do that again through a lot of research, a lot of focus group testing on campuses to find out how their students, athletes, parents involved in the process are going through the decision-making and sales decision process, and then advising our clients and helping them make the case to match up with the way their buyers are buying.
Yeah. So what I'm hearing is you do a lot of your market research into finding what worked and what didn't work. What worked in having them come to this specific college and what didn't work, why they didn't choose another college.
Correct. And then we basically reverse engineer a process for the next class to match what we know worked in the previous class.
Okay, amazing. That breaks it down for me. So what you mentioned a little bit about the challenges, but what are some of the most significant challenges that college coaches are facing in recruiting today? And how does your company address them?
I think, well, the most significant challenge is just skill set. So if I, as a college coach without a business degree, walked into Apple and wanted to be a program lead for a new tech tool that they were developing, I might be able to fake my way through some of it and play along, but I'm going to be shown up pretty quickly as I don't have the skill set for that. And again, in the same way, you look at a college coach. How do they become a coach? Well, they were an athlete. And then they decided, I want to be a coach. And so most of them they become a GA, just general assistant, and they get their master's degree paid for while they coach. I like that. And so then I get a coaching job, become an assistant coach, and eventually somebody tells me I have to go recruit. And I usually recruit the way I was recruited. And I got recruited that way because my coach was recruited the same way by his coach. And there's been no change. And yet this generation of student athlete and just us as people being marketed to now way differently than we were even just 10 years ago. We have to adapt and change, if I'm a coach, to the way that the buyers and the prospects are making their decisions, which are different. And if I don't understand how to do that, it's going to be hard for me to recruit good athletes. If I don't recruit good athletes or enough athletes, then I lose my job. So that's the business that we're in, is filling that gap and making sure that they know how to do it. One of the challenges is that when we started this 20 years ago, and we still are the only ones who do that. So we've had to invent an industry, and that's been a challenge. We've done it, but it's been a challenge. And the successful part is that we have a lot of great relationships and a lot of good success stories over 20 years, and our audience likes us. So that's good.
Yeah, so there's two things that you shared there right there that I want to pull from. One is that if they're doing things the same way, if we want something different, we got to choose something different or find a different way, right? And if they consistently do the same things that worked 20, 40 years ago, it doesn't mean it's working now, especially with the advancements of technology and the way kids are today. They're doing different things than they did before, and they're socializing different, and they're being approached differently than they were before. So what are some of the trends, the most notable trends in collegiate recruiting that you've observed recently?
The trends that we see are actually quite applicable to anybody else in business. Excuse me. So this generation are on their phones, and we all agree this generation loves their phone. I have a teenage son, 20-something daughter, and you do too, and so we know they're on their phones a lot. What are they doing on their phones? Well, we assume that they're looking at pictures, videos, and they do, and we do. As adults even, we do that. But we have pretty fast engagement with those, and in between that, we're texting. We might be, if we're adults, we're emailing. So what are we doing on the phones really? We are reading, and we are reading words and seeing things, and we're trying to then put value based on them. Is that for me? Is it not for me? Do I agree? Do I disagree? Do they want me to do something or they don't? I'm reading words. And so one of the things we've had to stress, for instance, to coaches is you can't just put the visuals up. If we're going to try to make the case that your college is better than, or your program at that college is better than your competitors, we have to explain to them why, and we have to do it over time, repeatedly. And because that's what social media does, it repeatedly bombards us with information. And if we can get them to focus on our Instagram or our X account as a coach, then great. But it's hard to make a logical case because the interactions are so short. So what we've seen working, as an example, in answer to your question, we really focus with our clients on producing and sending out emails that sound conversational, sound like text messages, and also written mail as a way to make a decision, or a way to help them make a decision that coach is interacting with me differently and caring about me more. We know electronic communication is so convenient and easy. We can send something out, swipe it away. It's very quick interactions. If I'm a college coach or somebody that's trying to get just a regular student to a college, I have a lot of competition to fight against, a lot of white noise to overcome. If I send them a letter, which almost nobody does anymore, first of all, we don't throw away letters. As adults, we do. We throw away bills and everything, and after we're done with them, we throw it away. We want to get paper off our desk or off the counter. Teenagers, a little bit different. That's new to them. They don't know how to write letters. I explain that to coaches, and they sort of laugh. Would my son actually know how to write a letter if they needed to and send it to somebody? The answer is no, they wouldn't. And so it's a unique thing to them. And I use this as an example that they're going to take it and read it again, put it up on the refrigerator, read it again, not throw it away. Why? Because it was evidence that somebody cared about me, wanted me. And if I'm trying to make this very hard decision in a short amount of time, where to go to college, this thing that pops up in our lives for 6 or 7 months or 12 months, and then it goes away, that's a very unique buying experience. We have to approach it uniquely. So that's an example of taking and understanding how they're making a decision, how should we market to them, and then finding success through it.
What are you finding with social media? So you touched on that too. You brought that up. How has the rise of social media and digital platforms changed the recruiting strategies?
I think so it does some great things for visuals. So if I'm here in North Carolina and I'm getting recruited by a school in Florida where you're located, I may have never been to Florida before, or I've never been to that school or town before. And if I want to know, which every athlete, every teenager does, if I'm going to go to school there, what's it like? How would I feel there? And we both have kids that have gone through that process. And so, we know that that's how they think and talk. Well, one of the ways to know how it feels or what it would be like is if I can get visuals of what it's like on campus, what the people on the team are like. Do they seem to be having fun? I get to make those quick judgments based on the visual. We make that point to coaches, though, going back to my last answer. They'll decide with their heart, but they then have to justify it with their head. So I can't go to my coach, my parents, my advisor and say, well, the reason I chose this school is because I really liked how much fun the kids were having in the van after the tournament driving back to the campus. Can't do that. I'm going to sound stupid, and I know I sound stupid. So I may make my decision based on that, but I have to be able to tell them, well, they have a really good business degree and good location with internships. I have to insert some logic into it. That's the hard part about social media that it's not good at, is making the logical case. I think that's the true for business, by the way, too. But it's great for visuals. It's great to create a feeling. And I need that. Because if I only go the logical side and I don't create the feeling, that's going to be a tough sell too. So really what I think as business leaders we have to do is look at social media and say, it has a place. Do I understand what that place is? Does it replace some of the other mediums? I would say no. From a marketing standpoint, what we have to do for our audience, our clients are, let's say, college coaches. So 20 years ago, we started a free email newsletter that basically gave away our secrets, our tips for free. We don't pay for subscriber. We don't ask them to pay for a subscription. Started with 400 coaches, a couple of athletic directors. It's now up to over 50,000 coaches and athletic directors. They have gotten it every Tuesday for the last 20 years. They know what it is. Everybody is familiar with it. They all read it. Do they all become clients? Of course not. Do a lot of them interact? And when we talk to them about becoming a client, are they familiar with it? Yes. And what that gives us through that logical presentation of written communication is I don't have to now sell them on who we are. They already know who we are. Can we fix a particular problem they're having? So we get rid of what most marketing or what most businesses fail to do a lot of the time in marketing, which is build the trust. And so that trust has come in really handy. So that's the way we sort of use each medium for a different purpose.
That's great information, because I was just going to ask you what factors are making it easier and more challenging to scale in your market. Like, what is the marketing that you have been doing? And consistency is definitely key, right? We hear that all the time, but I don't think enough people utilize it. I think a lot of people, they'll go into business and they'll try something and they might try it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times, and then it's done. You've been doing this consistently every Tuesday for 20 years. And whether they work with you in that moment or not, one day you will hit on a pain point in that moment that they're having. And that could be the trigger that gets them to reach out to you and then move forward and work with you. Right. And plus, by you staying consistent, even if they don't work with you specifically, they now know you are top of mind all the time, every week, so that they hear a pain point from somebody else. Because even though colleges compete against each other, right, it's a small community, right? I would still want to help another person in my industry get ahead, be successful if I couldn't help them. So, or even if they were like, maybe we have the same target market, right? I still want to help them succeed because I feel like we're better together. And the more we help each other, the more we're all going to succeed together. Do you see that true in your space? Like, if somebody would refer you if they hear that there's a pain point and you've been marketing to them consistently?
I think so. And what we see a lot in our industry, which might be unique, is every year college coaches, a lot of them, about 40% of them, switch jobs. So I was assistant coach over here, now I'm the head coach over here. Yeah. Head coach at one place, now I'm an athletic director. And so there's a lot of movement. And if we do our job correctly as marketers and also providing good service that works, they'll take us with them to their next place. So I've always described what we do is there's a viral aspect to it that we want to do a really good job. And if we're good at it, then they're going to take us and we spread naturally. So from a marketing standpoint, the only marketing we do, there's 2 main ways we do marketing. We send out a free newsletter every Tuesday that I just described for 20 years. And we have a podcast we've been doing for now almost 9 years. Those are the only 2 marketing things that we do as a company, other than there are consultants and people involved in working directly might reach out and go through the sales process that way. But we don't buy ads. We don't do anything that I think a lot of people would say now is the norm, because we've decided we're going to provide content and value and give ourselves away for free. And I'm a tip for anybody that's listening to your great podcast that's in business. I read a book when I started this company about, 20 years ago, by Jeffrey Gitomer, The Little Red Book of Selling. Recommend it to everybody. It's an easy to understand, just straight to the point book. And one of his points was give yourself away for free regularly. And when you give yourself away for free, and he sent out a newsletter every week, I think he still does. And he said, it works. This is where we get all our clients. Well, Dan sort of, taken a very simplified Forrest Gump approach to the whole thing. It's like, okay, well, if he's doing it and it's in his book, I'll do it too. See if it works. Lo and behold, he was right. So all credit to him. And we give away ourselves for free. We tell our clients exactly how we're doing it. And here's how you should do it. We don't say we don't need us, but here's how we do it. You should do it this way. They might try something or understand that, yes, that would work, but I don't have time to do it. Well, I'm not a good communicator, right? And so I need help. Can you do it? So most of our business comes from coaches actually reaching back to us rather than us having to go door to door and find them, because we built the trust. And again, so I give that credit to Jeffrey Gitomer. And if you don't have the Little Red Book of Selling and you're in business, or sales, certainly, you should get it.
Little Red Book of Selling. I'm going to get it today. I'm hoping it's on Audible because that's how I consume lately.
Probably it is.
It probably is. So definitely get that, and thank you for that shout out to him and that promotion of that book, because I'm always interested in learning about what people are reading to help them succeed. So that's amazing. And what is the name of your podcast so we can promote that?
College Recruiting Weekly. And you'll find it interesting if you like college sports or recruiting. It doesn't talk about what's going on in recruiting. It talks to coaches about what they're going through in recruiting. It talks to experts besides people in our group that may have a expertise or a field that they can contribute towards coaches. And so we focus a lot on sales and marketing and communication, but we're doing it through the lens of college athletics. And a lot of people love college athletics, so they might find it interesting about how recruits are getting recruited and marketed to. So that would be a great podcast if you're that person that just heard that and said that sounds interesting, then go to College Recruiting Weekly, and we'd love for you to listen.
Yeah, it could be great for parents too of athletes and things like that too.
It could understand like how they might be able to help coaches help themselves in a sense to recruit their son or their daughter.
Yeah. Okay, perfect. So you're the president and the founder of Tudor Collegiate Strategies. As the president and founder, what are your day-to-day responsibilities?
I still love interacting with coaches, clients, so I will be involved in sales. I love our clients, and we're very passionate about what we do as a group, and there has to be a client relationship that starts with a sale. And so we have to explain what we do and is that right for them and make that connection. Once it is, then we serve those clients. So most of the time, every day, we're on the phone with coaches, athletic directors, helping them do what they need to do. Running the business, it's grown to the point where initially we didn't take any investment or funding to start the business. It just started at zero, and we've built it up into a 7-figure company. And now I'm finding, since your question was, what do I do as the president? More and more of my time is looking at where we go from here. What's the next phase of growth? So we've always had people interested in, hey, maybe I want to invest in this, or merging, buying. So the more that we've grown, we've started getting, it would take, we're not the typical business that just, I think, build it, sell it, flip it. So we're not a piece of software. These are actual relationships. So that's why it's been hard, I think, to find the right investor, find the right partner financially who understands that I want to build this, but we're going to be continuing to be this force in college athletics. So that's the challenge on my side, is just to keep it growing, thriving, with more and more dollars at stake, to be frank.
Yeah. So with your focus mostly on the growth of it, but you did mention sales, do you have sales teams that you have in place, and what does that look like, and how challenging is it for you to find good sales team or salespeople?
I mean, like any company, and I've not always done this. So I was with a large national company as a sales director and manager and in sales for a Fortune 100 company. So it really mimics what any large company, or really frankly any company period, is going to go through, is that you're going to hire, out of 100% of the people that you hire to do sales, 20% are going to be successful, excuse me, and 80% are going to either take themselves out or will have to make a change. Because it's not for everybody. And sales is, you have to love it. It is half art and half science, and you have to understand both. So it's challenging, but no more challenging than anybody else listening to this that has a sales team or is a sales manager. They face the same things. I think the one challenge for us is that anybody on sales on our side has to understand college athletics. There's a consultative point of it too. So we've chosen not to separate, we have one group or person that schedules an appointment to talk about sales, another person that does the sales, and then somebody else that takes care of them afterwards. We wanted to create a one in all position so that there's a relationship there, which is very important to our clients. So that might be a little bit of a challenge, but we have a fantastic group right now, and we're as busy as we want to be, and we're handling it. So overall, we're certainly not worse off than any other company, and a lot better in some respects.
Yeah. So what would everything seems to be moving really smoothly. So when you built this up over the last 20 years, and I'm sure you've had a lot of ups and downs along that process, what do you see? Do you see a problem or a bottleneck in your company right now that you're looking to smooth out?
Yeah. So, I mean, look, anybody listening that's been at it, 10, 20 years, they know that it is not all smooth. When you have no industry to base your industry or your business off of, it triples the challenge. So I would say primarily it's just been handling the growth in relation to the fact that, like I mentioned at the start, we have never taken investment. Now that provides some wonderful freedom and wonderful pivot points, like you can react very quickly to the market because you don't have a board to go to. The bigger you get, the more money involved. And again, I'm speaking just as the person running the company. Now that becomes more of a consideration. And so you have to look at what point do you find the right partner? Do you find the right individual who can see the vision, want to continue to build it, and get them involved? And we've come close a couple of times, but you might be able to tell, like, we love doing what we do. We're very unique at it. We have a place that's really special in college athletics. So again, it takes that right person. So that's probably the biggest challenge, is how much do we reinvest in the business? What do we put, it's just balancing. But again, like any business, you have to balance things. And sometimes you have to cut back. Sometimes you have to react to the market and increase staff or what you do. We just replaced a team of people within our organization with an AI engine we built. We're sort of one of those bad companies that, wait, you don't love people. And we had to make some changes because it took the cost down for our clients and it increased our efficiency. And I was around when, in different businesses when the internet came along. And of course, the feeling there was, this is going to replace all the stores. Nobody's going to go into a store anymore because we're all going to shop online. Well, we do shop online, but we really like the stores too. And so I don't think AI is going to necessarily replace everybody. But it's those decisions. It's those things, like, how do you react? And sometimes I've reacted way ahead of the curve, and sometimes it's taken me getting punched in the face a couple of times by saying, okay, now we just got to do X, whatever it is, which again, every business owner fights that same thing and encounters the same thing. So we're not any different in that respect. But for any business owner, if you just heard me say that, you're not alone and you're probably pretty normal. And that's just the way business goes. It doesn't always go the way that you map it out. And on the plus side, though, we haven't been a business that took $5 million, burned through it in 8 months, and then the company folded. Right. I'll take it and in the way that we've done it.
Yeah, because you'd created it in a sustainable way. So AI, I know we're getting there on the time, but I really want to dive into AI, and I have a couple more questions for you. But AI can't replace sports. Obviously, it can't play football, can't play baseball, can't do all those things, and it can't replace the students being on the campus learning and getting to get them prepared for their next stage in their life. And it can't replace people actually building those relationships to recruit the people that they want to have on their campuses. So how is AI currently influencing collegiate recruiting, and what future developments do you anticipate?
I don't know that it's influencing it all that much yet. And you actually brought up a lot of great points as to why. The reason we like watching athletics is, and we're recording this the weekend of the Super Bowl, we don't know what the Super Bowl is, how it's going to play out. Is it going to be a close game? Is it going to be a blowout? Who's going to win? What's going to happen? Is clothes going to fall off during the halftime show? We don't know. What's going to happen is that's why we watch. And so in this industry, it's so relationship based. It's so unplanned. I'm sure you'll have AI begin to help colleges analyze and set their budgets. You'll have AI begin to play a part in marketing their social media output, being able to take something that happened in a game and instantly put it on Instagram a minute later, 10 seconds later. Those are going to be practical tools. And I think AI overall is going to be that. It's going to be tools that increase our efficiency, certainly as business owners, but just business and organizations overall. So that's the way I see it influencing those businesses and just in our world in general, at least for the foreseeable future. Is there a point where it becomes so smart that it takes over your podcast? I don't think so, because here we are having a conversation, and as humans, we want that face-to-face interpersonal communication. And so I think there's limits to it. But again, just like the internet was supposed to destroy all the stores and close them down, and we were all going to just be nameless, faceless consumers, we actually kind of like going to stores now.
Yeah, and it's about being social too, and it's a great
Mm-hmm.
way for people to connect, just like restaurants. Like, we can order food, right, and through our phones, and somebody can deliver it, and maybe one day that will even evolve into looking differently. But at the end of the day, we still like to have like go out to dinner and meet our friends and family and things, and have those moments of bonding. So yeah, I completely agree with you. There is a place and its purpose for AI, and it's only going to evolve. It's not going away, that's for sure. But at the end of the day, you're saying what I've heard from many, successful business owners and founders, that they're, again, it's good for efficiency and productivity in certain ways, like you shared how they might start using it and how it may evolve for them, but at the same time, it's not going to take the place of the actual presence on the campus, the athletes on the field, right, and the relationships built between the recruiter, the coaches, and the students. Right.
100%. And one thing I was just going to quickly add that, as you mentioned that, you started mentioning efficiency, and here we are, start of a new presidential administration, and they have a whole department of government efficiency. And some people like it, some people don't. You voted for him, you didn't vote for him. Put all that aside. Here we are in this age where AI is beginning to be able to do some of the things you just mentioned, analyzing, making efficiencies happen, and it upsets a lot of people. At least as I'm reading it, it's upsetting a lot of people. I think that at each point of these influxes, internet upset a lot of people, because I have a store, I run Barnes and Noble, and I want people to come to our bookstore to buy the books. I don't like this idea of this Amazon startup. Now I can buy a book online. So there's natural resistance. And we're seeing that, again, going back to the internet days with Barnes and Noble, we're seeing it now with turning out, it sounds like we've been wasting a lot of money. So we're going to fix that. As business owners, I think we have to look at tools that increase our efficiency and understand that we're never not going to be changing our business. So we do things now 20 years ago that we didn't do 20 years ago. We do it now because we had to change. And some of it's been hard, confusing. We've been successful, unsuccessful, just like any business. I think as business owners, that's what we have to do.
You're right. There's everything's evolution, right? And in order to grow, we need to evolve. And unfortunately, people don't even like change. For example, I'm in the process of getting ready to sell my house, and I have children, and my daughter was a little more resistant than my son because she doesn't like change, and I get it. So any growth that's going to happen, change has to happen, and that means evolution. And it can be scary, but to your point, case in point, which was a beautiful point, the internet didn't get rid of the stores. I think stores and more of that came to with the pandemic than the involvement of the brought on of the internet. So, and new ones are popping up. So there's always going to be growth and evolution.
But even the pandemic, now we order more food and it gets delivered to our house. Well, that all came about because we had this crisis and restaurants had to survive. And so creative business owners developed apps. They started putting a table out in front. They'd put the food out with our name on it, and we'd be able to pick it. So there's like an adaptability and a resilience that hopefully you have as a business owner. And those are all such great points. Like that's what we constantly experience.
Yeah. Yeah. So good. So you had shared that you're responsible for the growth, right? Looking forward and the forward growth of your company. So the visionary. So what are your growth goals for the next 6 months?
Oh, wow. For the next 6 months, we're trying to shift some of our internal budget towards some initiatives and projects that are a big focus. I mean, it'd be boring to get into the minutia of that, but it's, what every business has to do. You have to analyze and say, where is that shift, that growth? We deal in higher education, and so there's going to be, I think, a lot of, with the new administration and every time there's a new president, we sort of have to say, how is that going to affect higher education costs? And, so some of our clients over the last couple of years, a lot of their students and athletes were having trouble affording college because of inflation and cutbacks they've had to make in family. Well, we had to help them adjust to that. And what's going to happen now? Well, as we talk, a little too early to tell, but it'll change. It'll change what colleges are funded with or how much money people have to go to college. So as long as we track those, and any business owner is tracking that, then then we're doing our job. So my focus is to make those internal changes as well as just be aware and track how is higher education spending dollars, budgets going to change so that we can change along with that. And usually anytime there's a change like that, it's an opportunity for us to go in and get more business and grow the company.
Thank you for sharing. So as you're, you were a yes to being here on this podcast. And as the time that we're talking, it's pretty new. We just launched it last week. So if we were to revisit in this conversation in a year from now, what would define a successful year for you?
Well, by then you'll have probably 5 or 6 million listeners. So they'll all be finding out about.
That's successful for me.
Well, that means success for us in some way, shape, or form. Excuse me. So an honest question, if you look into the future, what would be successful? Certainly to maintain the quality of the outcome for our clients, because that's what drives the business also. We talked about marketing. There's some good marketing around actually doing a good job for your clients and then having them reference you and talk about you positively to other clients or to future clients, their coworkers. That happens now. We want to increase that. I think longer term, what I need to do and what the goal is to be able to figure out how do we make this next leap into our 3.0 phase of the development of the company and find the partner, find the investor, find that other company that either we acquire, we buy, or we have to take investment if it's the right situation, because we're on the cusp of being able to do some really cool things. And so as a person that takes like the 30,000 foot view of the business, making sure that we're ready to do that if and when the opportunity comes is a priority. We're blessed to have just a ton of great people that work for us and are great at their jobs and passionate, and to be able to make sure they're continuing to get the resources they need to be able to do that, and we keep growing, then life is good. So that would be my probably overly simplified goal, pretty singular, and because we've got a lot of the other stuff figured out, which we're blessed to have.
Yeah, and that's incredible. So thank you for sharing all of that. And we don't, the one thing we didn't even have time to talk about was culture and teams. Another conversation, maybe for that year revisit.
Yeah, would love it anytime.
Yeah, for sure, because I'm sure you have a lot of insight on that. But you just brought it up, and it's so important is to make sure your teams are supported, having that open communication, and creating that culture within of a team that is really passionate about your mission, your vision, and what you're.
And challenging part there really quickly is that we're all remote, so we all work in different cities, and to create a culture and cohesiveness that's been a very interesting exercise, which we've been able to do, but it's been interesting because so many companies now work remotely.
Yeah, you were seeing it more and more and more, right? Because and somebody actually said, a founder actually shared with me, I would rather have people remote that are the right fit than versus somebody in my backyard that's not the right fit, because it's not beneficial to you and it's not beneficial to them. So yeah, this has been incredible. So Dan, how can people connect with you and reach out to you?
The website is dantudor.com, DANTUDOR. If you're not a college coach, it might be a little bit of a boring website, but we're also on Substack and the College Recruiting Weekly podcast. Search for us on Instagram or X, my X account, which a lot of college coaches and athletes revolve and sort of put their daily conversations on X. That is at Dan Tudor, DANTUDOR. That would be the best ways to interact.
Perfect. Well, we will have all of your links in our show notes.
And LinkedIn. I'm on LinkedIn too. You mentioned links. I should have mentioned LinkedIn.
Yeah, no problem. We'll have everything, your website, everywhere they can reach out to you, your podcast information on our show notes. So if you're listening and you can't write them down right now or go hop into a social, then don't worry, we've got you covered. Dan, is there anything else you'd like to share before we wrap that I just didn't touch on or didn't get to ask you?
I think this has been such a good conversation. I would love to come back and talk about other stuff if and when the opportunity arises. But, I know every business owner loves hearing from other business owners and what they're going through. So happy to have people bounce ideas off of me. I will be listening to your podcast because I love to hear what other people are doing. I'm more interested, I think, like most business owners, in what I'm doing wrong versus confirming of what I've done right. I want to learn and avoid mistakes. And so I think this is a great platform that you're producing, Heidi, and look forward to being a small part of it.
Thank you, Dan. It's been such a pleasure, and I would love to have you come back and talk deeper into other things and talk about some new things. So absolutely.
Absolutely.
And I'm excited to be able to promote and share. So thank you for being a yes, and thank you for your time today. I'm in deep gratitude. Thank you for listening to Dan and I. And if you are listening on a podcast platform and you've enjoyed this conversation, please leave a 5-star review. Also share it. Share it with other people so we can help more businesses grow and they can gain insights and expertise from those businesses and from our leaders who are really successful in their space. And if you're watching us on YouTube, you can see Dan and I on YouTube. Please subscribe. Also, when you reach out to Dan and connect with him, let him know you heard him here at the Business Growth Spotlight. Thank you again, Dan. Thank
Thank
you
you.
for listening and taking time to listen to us. And we will see you on the next episode of the Business Growth Spotlight.